howlers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Fade to Obsidian, your podcast about Red Rising spaceships, relationships, and all the people in the den that also write books. We love our authors. As always, I am Crescent, joined by Skipper,
Hello.
and for the first time on Fade to Obsidian, we have Viscera,
Hi.
author of The Forest and the Flame. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome, Viscera. We will give the disclaimer we're having a bit of technical difficulty, so if anything looks weird, we're doing the best we can, but hopefully by editing it all together, we'll be good. So thank you, Viscera, for joining us with The Forest and the Flame. Before we get into your book, as we start every episode, why are you Viscera and what are you drinking?
I am Viscera because of my job. I actually did a PowerPoint presentation, Pinned in Hollows, about what I do, and it involves a lot of body parts and gross things. And so that's why I was named Viscera, but also it's just sort of compounded over the years of me being there. And then I am drinking very boring plain water, raspberry nectarine.
Nice.
I didn't put gin in it this time, but usually I do.
Next time. Crescent, what are you drinking?
I have possibly the most Canadian thing. I've got a Clamato Caesar, pickled bean flavored.
Pickled bean. Nice.
It is so good.
Not here for the pickled beans. That's funny. I have hard soda Pop Shop. It tastes delicious. I think I accidentally stole it from a party on Saturday. It somehow ended up in my purse. I don't know. It's mine now, and it's delicious.
Save that for later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, as mentioned, she is frozen at the moment. As mentioned, we are here to talk about Viscera's book, The Forest and the Flame, which is available everywhere you buy books. We're going to try and get her. There she's back. You froze for a bit there. It's okay, I'll kind of...
Briefly.
If you can hear me, or else I'll type it out. Can you give your elevator pitch on The Forest and the Flame?
Oh, goodness. I'm terrible at this, but an elevator pitch would be, God, I'm so bad at these. That's why I stopped querying in the first place. But so you have a 30-year-old protagonist, which is really the only elevator pitch I personally need, but so an older protagonist who lives in a magical forest discovers that it's magical late in life and has to save it from bad guys she knows nothing about with the help of someone she knows nothing about who happens to be a prince.
I like it. No.
I'm so bad at that.
No, that's great. That is a...
That was perfect.
That's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So your main character, is it Alyssa or Alicia? What's the pronunciation? What's the... Okay.
Oh, Alicia. It's
Alicia.
Alicia. It has
Okay.
that extra I in there for a reason.
It.
Yeah, it's Alicia.
I like it. But yeah, so Alicia's amazing 30-year-old apothecary working all of that, which is amazing. What was your inspiration for that? Is that just you?
It is my goal in life to go back in time with a bunch of books about herbal medicine farther and farther until I get hung as a witch. And so that was my inspiration for that.
I like it. Yeah,
That's
incredible.
perfect. Yeah, that is good goals.
Yeah. Works kind of in your viscera style. You have all of your kind of medical things. So it makes sense that that would be what's in your realm. Did you do a lot of research into apothecary? Is this something you just know, or is it kind of on vibes?
Um, it's a mix of all of the above.
Okay.
I actually did get a lot of books about like herbalism and like modern witchcraft and things like that. And then I also have read the Outlander series
Mm,
about 7 times. Oh, there's a lot of that in there and like makeshift medicine that Claire does throughout Outlander. And then the rest of it is based purely on vibes and the fact that I do have a biomedical science degree way back in my days. So like I know some stuff
yeah.
about stuff.
All the
And
stitches and everything. And yeah.
I can like make like things that I don't even really know what I'm talking about sound really good because I
Mm-hmm.
know enough about what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Fake till you make it. I
The
love it.
best
No, you absolutely fooled me.
the best lies are sprinkled with truth.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. Well, a lot of the book is based in nature. Is that something specifically as well reflective of you? Were you a nature kid?
Um, Contrary to what the popular belief now would be, yes. I actually grew up on 15 acres. Most of it was
Wow.
cornfield, but my neighbors had this huge woods like back in their backyard, and we had this big tree line. And like my brother and I would make like the forest potion, which is just like a 5 gallon bucket full of like rainwater and a bunch of disgusting things, and like that was always like prime
Nice.
outdoor nonsense. And then like we would get lost in these woods and we had like old grapevines that were like big enough to like sit in as kids and stuff, so I just kind of like grew up with that. And I
I
think
love it.
because I've lived in cities now for so long, I just was like really missing that like feel of being back in those like magical trees when you're like little and everything is huge and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
I like it. So was that your inspiration kind of? Like is that what kicked it all off for this?
all of it. Uh, so funny story. These characters I've actually known and I've had in some version of some story since I was about 15.
Cool.
So Alicia, Kedron, Darylin, the concept of Darylin and Kedron's relationship and his relationship with his people have all been pretty consistent. Um, Other characters, Carolyn and Kyla, came just maybe like a year or two after the rest of them did. Um, the main one that was a surprise was actually Envir, which is like everybody's favorite side character,
Yeah.
and he just like showed up when I started writing, and I was like, yeah, right.
That's awesome. I like that. So, character first then over plot, right? You had all the characters and then you added the plot, or did you have like an inkling of the plot?
Characters first.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't have a real plot for this for like I don't know 20 years um, until I started reading Throne of Glass. And in the second book, I sat there. I was thinking to myself, if this could get published, I can probably get published. I just need to find a plot. Um, so
I like it.
noodled that around a little bit and then
Yeah.
learned about all the den writers and everything. And once we started doing NaNoWriMo, I was like, all right, I can make it work. And so I just started pulling out a bunch of things that I've been really interested in over the past 15 years or whatever, building up. Because I mean, I'm a big RPG tabletop, used to play what's called a text-based MMO, which is like an adventure click
Yeah.
text game, but with other people. And I actually built a city for one of those that's very much so like Alicia's village.
Cool.
And so I kind of was just like pulling on all these different things, and obviously my medical background and stuff like that. Um, and I had finally a good idea of what the villain would be, and like the concept of what the villain was after um, was the hardest part for me. And once that clicked, I was kind of like, oh, hey, I can do this.
Nice. I like it. So, did you outline then, or is it like completely pantsing?
Ooh, outline or pantser? That's a
Yeah.
good question. Um, so I, I am a pantser
Okay.
for the most part, and then I wrote myself into a corner about having the two different POVs have the same timeline. And so I had to
Yeah.
make sure like the days were matching up on both POVs, and that was a pain in my butt, and I did have to like start outlining a little bit just to like match up the the times for that one, and then I gave up on that concept in the second book, and I'm a lot more
Okay.
general about the time.
Fair.
But like as like a whole, um I know like the major things. I don't sit there and like write them out or anything, but like in my head I keep them stacked up, and then I kind of like enjoy letting the characters get me there
Mm.
on their own. And so
Okay.
like because that kind of like leads it to be a little bit more. I know a lot of people have said this after reading it, that it's very character driven for a fantasy novel instead of like plot driven. Um, and I really like to hear that, because that's kind of what my goal was with it, to
Yeah.
make it a lot more character driven. Which is why I let them get to from point A to point B on their own. And just as long as the main things happen, I'm good with it.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense based on how long you've had these characters living with you, right? Like that you would have them to the fullest
Yeah, they're
thought
so
through.
fleshed out in your mind.
Yeah. That'll be fine.
Yes. So they've definitely grown over the years. This is something that I've, had in the back of my head for a long time, but it's very interesting to me just personally, because it's like I am a vastly different human being than I was at 15. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like knowing, and I've actually reread some of the stuff that I wrote with them back in that time, and it's very interesting for me to read now, because they are very different. But I think just having characters that feel a lot more human, and a lot more relatable and a lot more specific than a lot of like the fantasy stuff that I had been reading, because right before I started writing a lot in 2023, I'd been reading a ton, and I was reading a ton of like YA, new adult, like all of that like romantasy and stuff like that, and a lot of it was very generic, and like not in a bad way, in like the narrative way of being like the Mary Sue, and like very like self self insertable and
Yeah.
stuff, which is fine, and like that's like a valid thing to do. And but I just wanted something that was like a little bit more human in it, with like having the friendships that they have and all of that, because the big thing in fantasy too is that there's just like no side character like friends, like they don't interact. If there's like different POVs, they're not like friends,
Yeah.
and that's just so unrealistic to me as someone who's had some of the same friends since I was 11 years old. So it's like it just seemed so unrealistic to me that all of these MCs are out here with like not a friend in the world and just getting by on their own, and I'm like, man, that is very unrelatable.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm also like a big Power of Friendship anime fan,
Okay.
which I think is like a another big influence with that, is just that like you can't you can't beat the bad guy unless you have the power of friendship. So
Yeah.
we need the friends in the picture.
Absolutely. Yeah, you give
100%.
everyone in the group brings their own skills and strengths to it and need to work together.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely, I can see that influence coming through, which is why it's so great of every interaction you have. It's you can see how each character, when it's Alicia and obviously Caroline, who she knows closely, but versus like her and Endra, like they're gonna interact differently, and you've done a great job of slowly building up those ones. That it's like I like there's a part where it's like, oh yeah, we barely even know each other, but the last like week's been crazy. Like it's just like a great touch like that of like, oh yeah, like we
Like,
don't
oh yeah,
actually know about you.
oh, I don't know anything about you, but that's, whatever. Like, you're my buddy for life now because
Yeah,
we just almost died like 7
Yes.
times. So,
it's fine. I love
Trauma
it.
bonding.
yeah.
Yeah. So great. I love it.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, no, you do a really great job of writing those friendships and how trust kind of works between people that you're not instantly trusted. But yeah, when you're
mhm.
trauma bonding,
Yeah,
sometimes you
absolutely.
are. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Um, so you talked about having a hard time sometimes keeping the POVs uh, in sync. Um, how early on did you decide that you were going to have both Alicia and Kedron as POVs? And how do you decide like whose part is in whose voice?
So, two POVs. I always love multi POV books. I like being able to see the story from different areas, but I also not a big fan of like third person, the omniscient kind of thing, which works really well for a lot of people. And actually, most of my favorite books are written that way. Like Joanne Abercrombie does an excellent job with that, and um, there's just other really great examples. But I prefer to write from first person, which really limits the scope of how much you can see at any given time. And so having multiple POVs makes it so you can see the majority of the story even though you're looking at it first person. And so it was always going to be the two of them. Now, going forward in books 2 and 3, the POVs get a little bit different. Um, and it gets harder to keep them straight. In the first book, absolutely fine. The only thing that was an issue was the like I said, the timing where they were like having to match up days. Um, but then by book 3, I now have 4 POVs, which
Ooh.
is a lot more to keep track of than 2.
Yeah.
And it's proving to be difficult with that. How to decide what parts are in whose voice. I've already run into a couple of things where I'm like, I don't know if it should be from this person or this person, and then it kind of just boils down to like one scene in particular. One person is a lot more action oriented, and it's a lot more action oriented scene, but they know a lot less about what's going on. Um, and I decided that I wanted that
Okay.
instead of the person who knew more of like what was going on, knew more of like the detail, but I wanted to focus on like the action of it. And so like things like that is kind of how I look at it when the option of having more than one person, because like I said in the first book, it wasn't super difficult because a lot of the time they were separate, or I had a very specific thing that I was doing with that chapter or whatever from that POV. And in book 2, it's really easy because the two POVs are totally separate.
Okay.
And so that was like really easy. That was just mainly putting those together for pacing purposes was the only issue with that. But yeah, like I said, the third one is going to be the most difficult with that. I'm already, like 12 chapters in, and I'm already like, oh boy. how are we going to be doing this?
Okay. So then are we getting multiple books, or like, we know this is book 1. Is it a trilogy? How many books are we going
It's
for
a trilogy. It will officially be 3. And unofficially, it'll be 3 plus a prequel. Because there's a lot of background information on the fall and Kib and Devore and things like that I've got cooking, and you learn more about it in the second book at one point. And once I was like really getting to the details for that, I was like, I don't want to do this now. And there's a lot of stuff like that because a lot of the characters have so much of their own lives before they get to where we see them.
Yeah.
I've been tossing around like maybe in the future after I get a couple other ideas out on paper, going back and doing some like a novella, like a little short story collection of different like flashbacks to like how people got to where they are, just for funsies.
That'd be awesome. I like that.
Absolutely. A little more arty.
Yes. He's one of my favorites. His current presentation is based on a real life experience of mine. And I just really love like I said, I'm a big anime, big fantasy, big everything like nerd, and there's always like the Gandalf, the Gaius from Merlin, the old BBC show that I love. And just like that mentor person that's always there. And I definitely wanted to like include him in it because once again, it's important to like characters to have that kind of like mentorship. Um, but they're all older, and so it's like, how am I going to do that? And so I just did it in kind of like a funny way that draws on something that I've experienced, kind of. And but yeah, I love their relationship and like thinking about things that they've done together and things that he's hidden from her over the years and things like that. So it's just kind of like I would love to go into that a little bit more too.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love that.
Oh yeah.
So is book 2, if you're working on book 3, is book 2 like done? Not to rush you. We don't rush authors on this podcast. You take your time. We want quality over quantity, but
yes.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Book 2 is in the second round of beta reads right now, so it's well on its way. I don't do that many rounds of it usually, so it should only be like one more edit and then like a fine tooth, like like proofreading kind of edit for that. So I am hoping to get it out around the same time this year that I did the first one, so like October-ish. I'm hoping to have it come out. I just finished mostly the cover, so kind of trucking along on that because I'm avoiding writing book 3.
So, did you design the cover then? Or did you, like, is this you drawing it? Is that what you're saying?
We're working on it. There we go. Did I design the cover? Yes.
Oh.
I designed, drew, colored, laid out, did everything. Did this one too.
Incredible. Beautiful.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's the hardcover.
So yeah, this is the hardcover. They're all getting these as well. But yeah, I drew, designed, colored, made my own fonts, made all of the interior artwork fonts myself.
Oh.
Did all that. So
like,
yeah, pain in the butt, but yeah, those guys. Those are all done by me, and I actually made it into a typable font, so I didn't lose my mind. And
that's smart. Very smart.
Except for the cover stuff, that's not a typable font. That I'm actually like hand manipulating each one. But yeah,
it's gorgeous. Great work.
Yeah, it is really, really gorgeous.
Nice. I stole most of the idea from a 1800s photo book of Pompeii. The frame
I think
style
I think I think
is
they'll let
almost
you have it.
identical to the frame of this old antique book that I have. And I just switched out like the flowers for ones that are relevant to
Yeah.
the story. So Lily of the Valley is a big thing in one area, and then Foxglove is also another plot point, which is the other flowers on top.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. I love that. I love that so much. Let me put it back there. Wow. So much passion went into this book then. Every single detail along the way.
Come on. There we go. Yeah. It helps, I think, that I just did everything to like have everything so like consistently present throughout all of it. Like I didn't have to argue with cover artists. I didn't have to, whatever. So I mean, I have little enamel pins too that are the green flame that I had made, and I just yeah, there's just a lot of like little things that I got to be intimately involved with because I just did it all. So I could like have all of that stuff show up. So
Yeah. Incredible. I love that.
So I see a fairly high quality audio setup there. Are you planning on recording an audiobook?
yeah, I heard the beginning part of that question, the audio. Uh, yes is the tentative answer on whether or not I'm recording an audiobook. I would certainly love to. It is an absolutely monumental sound editing task that I am very intimidated by. And I also I keep playing around with it. So we do the WDVC Den Radio, and I do readings for that, and so I've been getting like practice in and like kind of learning the ropes of like how to do voices and all of that from doing different people's writing. So I get to like try different tones of voice and pacing and stuff like that. Um, but my biggest issue still is just sound quality with like needing a more soundproof area. Um, like a sound boothy kind of situation. So I'm working on that and I'm working on consistency. Um, so like if I have to start and stop recording, it sounds consistent instead of like
Yeah.
I stopped and started something. So once I get that figured out, it's over for all y'all, and I'll get an audiobook out. But
That's amazing. That'd be so cool to do.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
strangely one of my favorite things that I've actually gotten out of this is that I love doing the recordings. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's so cool. Uh, you've mentioned the den a lot, and this book is dedicated to the poets. Do you want to talk a little bit about who the poets are? And kind of, you had mentioned it slightly, but how they helped you in forming everything.
it's still not coming through, but you guys are unpaused. So,
Oh,
anyways, I did hear the beginning of that question. So the poets in the den, um, I are the whole reason why I started writing any of this in the first place. They are the first dedication on the dedication page, the only dedication on the dedication page, because the poets channel and the den are where all of our little writers hang out all the time, and they are such an amazing hype squad and cheerleading and everything. I mean, they will keep you going no matter what out of just like pure inspirational spite, and I don't know how that works, but it does. And there's just, we started, that one NaNoWriMo in 2023, which is crazy because it seems like yesterday and 12 years ago all at the same time. Which was the first time I'd had written since I was a kid in like early college. And I was like, I'm going to get like 2,000 words a week. Like that's all I'm shooting for. Like I just, just dip my toes in a little bit. And then just the hype and everybody working together and cheering each other on and everybody putting snippets in the journal and all this stuff. I ended up getting the full 50,000 words in November. And yeah, and so I was just like, that's bizarre. And really, I would have quit. I do quit. I joke about it all the time, but I quit writing every 2 weeks. And then I just get bullied back into it. And it's the best thing ever because I really would probably have quit at least once or twice for realsies if I didn't have the poets in the den backing me up and being like, no, you got this. Everybody goes through this. Everybody has shared experiences and everything. And so it's just like really the only way any of this got done.
That's incredible. I love that.
And we have a lot of people who have like self-published, and some of us even work in publishing and like proofreading and know the industry and know, different things about it, and have really can like not only motivate you to do stuff, but like actually like help you with like the nitty gritty and like actually like formatting books and how to post them and all of this other stuff too. So it's just an absolutely incredible resource, much like all of the Den. If you have a writing question, you do not have to go to Google. You can just like either know who you need to tag in the Den or put it in comms, or if it's violence, you just tag Lotus and it's all taken care of. And it's just like it's like an incredible resource for any of that. You can find somebody who knows way too much about the most random things in the Den. And it's just like Gemini, Google summary, what? Like, you don't need that.
Yeah. I love that. Well, out of curiosity, because you asked me a lot of boat questions. And I started reading this and I was like, this is Forest. And we're not going to spoil fully, but boats do come into it. So is any of my knowledge actually in there, or am I just asserting myself?
No, your knowledge is actually in both 1 a little bit and primarily 2. So sailor, we'll just put it that way. The sailor from book 1 is one of the POVs for book 2.
Oh, amazing.
And so we get a lot more time on the water.
I like it.
A lot more time with her and her friend. And yeah, so they get to go on a little water-based adventure for a little bit. And where it's not like super technical, you're not gonna like write a sailing manual out of it. I'm pretty sure I keep the directions the same. And like, the main points. And I actually have notes from stuff that we've talked about, like written down in little areas that I used. And yeah, it was actually very helpful to have you for that, even though I don't spend too much time on like the technicalities, and then magic starts to come into play and whatnot. But I really just want to be on a boat myself at this point, which is a selfish reason to ask you about sailing.
You're always welcome.
I'm ready to be a straw hat pirate.
Yeah. Just come to Lake Ontario. You're always welcome on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, the Den's so cool for everything that you can get in there. And Lotus was your main editor, right? She will actually be on 2 episodes prior to this, so people know.
Yes.
Lotus.
Yeah, she was definitely the power horse editor. I did have other people definitely helped out. Light she was like my first beta reader, and Zephyr helped out a lot too, and stuff like that. So, a lot of other people did, like, and Alcatraz is another big one. Purple penned the crap out of that. So, yeah, it's been nice to just kind of like have people like that. And Lotus, shout out, she actually, went to school for that in general, kind of. So, she's very good at it, and it absolutely would not be the same book without what she did for me. So
Incredible. I love it.
mm-hmm.
Have I missed any questions?
Did you have the ending from the beginning?
Yeah.
This is very complicated. Not in like the ending itself is complicated, but getting to the ending, it was sort of a convoluted situation. I did know the ending of book one more or less, where I wanted to stop that. And then the ending of this series, though, is controversial in my own brain at this point. I had I had 4 different endings that I had been going back and forth since I started writing the first one. But it was always really important for me to at least narrow that down a little bit before I got done writing the first one, so I can make sure that some of the little things that I was putting in that were hinting at the endings were going to match up to the ending that I picked. And so the big thing with that is that I had endings that were more acceptable to traditional publishing for reasons of how they market things like romance books and things like that. I had the only thing I'll say about them is that I had softer endings.
Okay.
And I had harder endings. And the softer endings were the like trad publishing endings, and then I had the I'm going to self-publish this and I can end this story however I want endings. And I ended up going with one of those. So yeah, book 3 is going to be great.
I like it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Have we considered choose your own adventure if we're gonna have
I was
multiple
thinking the
endings?
same thing. Silly interwebs.
Choose your own adventure.
Just saying.
You know, what's really funny is that I have always loved the idea of having a book published that had different endings in the different books. So like when people got to the ending and they tried to like spoil it and somebody else got to the ending and it was a different ending, they wouldn't like match up and just like fuck with people. So I actually, funnily enough, I actually did think about it, but not in a choose your own adventure way, in a random gamble kind of way as to what ending you were gonna get. Honestly, the only thing that's preventing me from doing that is just the publishing headache that would be, especially for the hardcovers, because you have to have an obscene minimum order for those. But yeah, if people are unhappy with the canon ending and yell at me, I'll just send them one of the trad published like approved endings and be like, here you go, you can try again.
It'd be so funny. I love that. Well, it's like
Mhm.
like every movie Hollywoodizes whatever. It's almost the same of like,
Yeah.
oh, here's for the larger demographic
You can
or
just,
for your actual niche audience.
lighten it up a little bit, make it cleaner,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you need to do to make it more palatable for the masses.
Don't kill everybody.
Well, up for debate.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Last question. The question we ask everybody. Is there a question you wish we asked?
You moved. I don't have the text, but you moved.
Is there a question?
Well,
is there a question you wished me? There we go. Is there a question I wished you asked me? You know, we covered a lot of the stuff that I do like to talk about. Designing the covers myself, etc. You know, just a little. I did that. But you know, I wish not that it's just not that it's not. I think it's just because it's super obvious that like the like representation in the book, and I always like secretly wonder if people pick up on a specific relationship that's in the book, and I don't think it's that spoilery, but
Okay.
like maybe a spoiler. I always wonder if people pick up in book one if how Darylyn has her relationship with Deanna and Marlene. Um, Deanna and Marlene and Darylyn is probably one of my like favorite weird relationship groups in the story, just because like I absolutely love a cartoon mustache twirling villain, and I like, and that is like Darylyn is a mustache twirling cartoon villain
Yes.
in a polyamorous lesbian body, and um, so I always wonder if like I was like too subtle or too not subtle, with her and her girls. It becomes more obvious, I think, later, for reasons, but I just really like those three, and
Yeah.
I think people just get really distracted by hating them. That they don't think about it too much.
That's fair.
Got me on that one.
Like,
Now
I'm
that
glad
you
that
say
hate
it,
them
I
because that's
definitely
their entire purpose in life. But like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I put a lot of thought into that little like their dynamic
Yeah.
and like how those three work together, and it's just like they're just evil. So it's like and terrible. I hate being around. I hate Marlene and Deanna when they talk at like. But writing it is really fun. Like,
Yeah.
I personally hate it, and I like writing it, and I'm annoyed. But also, I'm like, tee, this is really stupid.
That's funny. No, now that you say it, I absolutely pick up. I am that person though that never reads into anything. Like I'm such a for vibes person that I'm like, okay, like sure. Like there's so much that people have to tell me, and I'm like, oh, is that what that was? So I can now that you say it,
Yeah, it's just
absolutely,
it's
I can
because it
see
is
it.
kind of important for later to like understand something that happens in book three and like what it means for just how terrible Darylyn really is, like deep down in her very rotten evil core and
Okay.
her mustache twirling Dr. Evil
Yeah.
situation. So just, you know, I'm just always curious about how people look into that. So it's not really a question that you would have like known to
No.
ask, but it's just something I'm always curious about
No,
because I really
absolutely.
only get like, well, I hate her and I hate them and great.
Yeah.
And Kedra needs a beach episode is also the other thing that I get a lot.
Yep. I can see that. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. He was
I
very
would
in.
like you to know
Oh, go.
that from now on, I'm going to view Darylyn, Deanna, and Marlene as Hades, Pain, and Panic.
Fair. That's pretty fair.
Okay. Yep.
That's pretty fair. Yeah. You know, I'll take that. I mean, they do actually have Deanna and Marilyn do talk a lot like Bait and Panic do sometimes. Damn it.
I like it.
Now I'm gonna be thinking about that. Yes.
Nailed it.
Ruined.
I like it a lot. Well, uh, we will have you back on when audio is working slightly better, so we can have a little
Yeah.
bit more of a back and forth. But for
Yeah.
now, and we can do maybe another one that it's like full spoilers rather than this one was kind of just to entice people in.
Yeah.
But for now, I think we're gonna call it here because now apparently you can hear me. Now you're answering.
Yeah,
me all.
absolutely perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It knows.
I know,
I
right?
know.
But everyone go grab The Forest in the Flame by S.C. Wolf. Will have the major selling book, words are gone, places you can buy it in the show notes below.
Sellers.
Definitely on Amazon, I believe on Barnes and Noble.
Pretty much everywhere. Kobo, Barnes and Noble,
Kindle.
my own personal website, Kindle. Yep.
So we will put some of those, Google it, but we can put some of the top ones, including your website and Instagram and all of that in the show notes so people can check it out because we definitely recommend. And yeah, we love you. Thank you for coming on.
Love you guys too.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
joining
having
us.
me.
Thanks for your
writing
patience
it.
with this. Yeah, thanks for writing it.
Yes.
We're excited. Do we have, you said that book 2 is with the beta reads. Do we have a proposed date or no? Again, we're not pushing
October.
October.
Yep. So yeah.
Amazing. We're looking forward to it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Perfect.
Well,
All right, thanks guys.
thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.